This is an open meeting of the membership. Hello? There we go. Plan to tell you about progress in the steering committee, the program committee. Betty's going to give a financial report, and Chris isn't here, so somebody from the mailing list committee is going to give a mailing list committee report. Rob Seastrom. Aside from vetted prezos, we are each speaking as individuals. Okay, we're not much into collusion, and we haven't made a bunch of large decisions, and there are no black helicopters. And if you believe that, you're younger than I think. The big thing is the microphone is open, period. We'd rather not be talking heads. We're sitting here trying to figure out how to take NANOG forward, and unless we hear from you, like normal geeks, we're going to walk around in circles. So figuring out which way forward, it would be appreciated if somebody wandered to the mic and started giving us some help. Shh. That's the whole time. Okay.
Use this one.
Thanks. Okay. So, going to wander into the steering committee report. The main thing is, hey, there have been some mass meetings like this. I gather with more alcohol than this time. So maybe we'll fix that next time if it's required to get you to speak. What we hear, what's been done, what should or could or will be done, and what the heck does everybody want out of NANOG anyway? Okay. There's some references. Dan Golding wrote up some stuff from a previous meeting. There's the NANOG Futures mailing list. And that is an open mailing list. We can be as stupid as we want. Nobody's going to tell us to be on topic. In general, we'd like to talk about what should NANOG be doing or how should it be doing it. There have been discussions with community, and there's a charter up. Okay. The mailing list was the problem that caused the evolution, revolution, whatever you want to call it. There were perceived continuing problems with the list administration. You asked for, we heard and think you asked for even moderation, transparency, fairness, and clue, i.e. understanding what was being talked about so you could better judge, so it could be better judged what was and wasn't topical. So far, we have a mailing list admin group drawn. Oh, this is gross. This is gross. My apologies. First, the steering committee should introduce itself. Could those members who are on the steering committee here stand up? Speak your own names loudly. I don't like to speak for other people.
Hi, I'm Betty Burke from there.
Hi, my name is Bill Norton from Equinix. I'm Chris Waller from MCI or Unit, whichever you want to call us today.
Jared Mott, Vario.
Joe Abley, ISC.
I'm Steve Feldman from CNET. I'm a non-voting member because I'm the PC chair.
And I'm sorry, thank you. And could the mailing list committee stand up because we're talking about you? Okay, so we've got 2 of 4 here. Yeah, Steve always impressed me as intelligent, so he's not here. Thank you. So far we do have an admin group, volunteers, and tasked with moderating the list. What we don't have and need is a documented process, an appeal process, transparency into how the mailing list is being committees working, etc. The steering committee has kind of asked the mailing list committee to come up with a proposal, and we have two members of the steering committee, Jared and Joe, working with them, to try and come up with published terms of office, how they're selected, policy process review, if, business 101, okay? And to document it, get community feedback, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so it just kind of gets normalized. Okay. The program committee, could program committee members stand up? You will notice some overlap with the steering committee. This is being worked. Both, please. Ren, why don't you start? Who the heck are you?
Joe Abley again.
You checked your...
Maybe Verizon.
Thanks. So, and this program committee was selected by membership, volunteers, et cetera, et cetera. Some carryover, and you'll see some detail. But what you wanted was a program committee that was more in touch with the operator community. You'll notice a large preponderance of operators. In fact, we've had to work hard to try and get a selection of things like enterprise people, researchers, vendors, et cetera, back on and to round out the committee. Okay? It's transitioning from 100% merit selected to selected by the steering committee per charter. And we just went through that process. Since it was the steering committee that chose the program committee, I'm going to give that part of the program committee report, but Steve will give a better detail of the program committee itself. But program committee members have orange blobs on their name tags. Talk to them about the program. Let's try and get, a yeastier, more exciting program. And Steve's going to give that report in a minute. The selection, we had a 16-member committee. The charter said we must retain at least 8. Okay, so we called for volunteers. There were 12 on the existing 16 said they would re-volunteer, and 18 new people volunteered. The program committee and the steering committee had a conference call to discuss the new volunteers and find out what people knew of them. And, hey, does this person get the ball back over the net? Does this person have their marbles? Little details. A subcommittee of the steering committee was formed of just those steering committee members who were not also PC members to choose which of the existing eight or more PC members remain, because we didn't feel PC members should be on that committee because that would be a conflict of interest. And that ended up with only 4 people. Myself, Jared, Betty, and Philip, selecting because of the conflict of interest, selecting which of the 16 existing members would stay. We felt that we owed the community max turnover so that the maximum amount by charter of the program committee would be volunteers from the community and chosen by the charter process. So we chose 8, and then the full steering committee met to decide which of the 18 new volunteers, to pick 8 of the new volunteers to be the other 8. And it was pretty ugly because we got some really good volunteers. And we also had the problem of wanting to get as much balance as possible, get a researcher, so on and so forth. So here is the returning and the new members of this program committee. So, and please beat them up, but better yet, please come with good material, because we want to hear you at the podium this meeting and next meeting and the ones after. And the program committee will help you, get your stuff together and get it on the program. We have a charter. The charter has, down at the end of it, how the charter might be amended. There were no proposals received from this year. Probably next year we'll have those parts of mailing list committee formalization to put there. How they're selected, et cetera. In general, lack of transparency, there was a problem perceived that no transparency in the way NANOG was being run. And so we've segmented the problem like good programmers, and we're trying to externalize and make some of the stuff transparent. The steering committee's accountable. We own it. So far we've selected the PC. NANOG's got the budget. We have mailing lists available to you. The steering committee minutes are boring but archived publicly. And you can write to the steering committee at steering@nanog.org. And that even bypasses my proc mail filters. If it's posted to that list, I will read it, even if it comes from those of you who I've chosen for some strange reason in history to ignore. Okay. Okay. Still things we have to do. This is the first time through so it's trial and error, and we're kind of fumbling and so on and so forth. We're also trying not to be heavy-handed, micromanaging, controlling, all that stuff. We're just trying to regularize things, make them open and transparent, and not get complex and not build a bureaucracy and infrastructure and tons of rules and all those things. Mailing list moderation, it's the ugliest part of the world because, you're dealing with human beings and all the stupid things that we say on mailing lists. I, of course, never say anything stupid on a mailing list. And that's also the area where the charter gives us least guidance. And it's things like we want to have, our current inclination from the steering committee is to have terms of office for the mailing list committee, just as we do from the program committee,